ఐదుగురు వాచింగ్ అప్పుడే మాట్లాడండి 10 seconds 20 seconds ఉంటుంది.
మాస్టర్ అది పెట్టండి పంపించిన బ్రోచర్
ఇక్కడ మీరు పంపించరా
మేలు వచ్చింది ఆ లాస్ట్ లో ఉంది చూడండి పైన పైన పైన
జూమ్ లింక్ మార్చారు చూడండి.
Good morning to all. Yes. Hello. Yes, welcome to all. It's a glorious moment to extend my heartfelt to the management of IARE and the principal, deans and HODs and speakers, and finally the participants. So today we start our professional development program. This is a national level 2-week professional development program on web application development using Bootstrap and ReactJS. So I hope this PDP will enlighten us to know something about web application development. So we have very good speakers. So throughout the sessions, please concentrate on this PDP. Now I would like to welcome our today's resource person, Sri Suryanarayan sir, and Patro sir, and Dr. B. Madhavi Devi. She is one of the coordinator of this PDP. And I would like to welcome participants to all. So just start the session. Before that, just enlighten the lamp. I request all the resource persons and coordinators to lighten the lamp and proceed further. Thank you. Please stay here. Yes, sir. Thank you. This 2-week professional development program on web application development using Bootstrap and ReactJS, organized by Department of Computer Science and Engineering in association with IIIC and collaboration with IARE IEEE student branch. So now I would like to welcome today's resource person, Surya Narayan sir, to take over the session.
Yeah. Audience. So in the afternoon, we scheduled completely user interface development with the Bootstrap. Actually, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Bootstrap basics. CSS basics, are you familiar with? Cascading style sheet. Cascading style sheet, man, you are familiar with CSS yourself? CSS is okay. CSS is okay. CSS is okay. Because in CSS 1, 2, and 3 combined together, altogether there are 369 CSS properties available. 369, imagine. 369 CSS properties and roughly around 116 to 118 HTML tags available, including HTML4 and 5 tags. So we had a huge repository of examples of all this, complete HTML4, 5 tags, and complete CSS, 369 CSS properties. But here in our session is not meant for the CSS. It's a post CSS. And after knowing CSS, using CSS, how to build XML pages, if you know, with that we'll learn this Bootstrap topic. So tell me one thing with the CSS, usually what you will do. From my perspective, I do two things mainly with CSS. One is I'll do page layout designing with CSS. I'll do page layout. First of all, if you want to design a web page, what exactly you want? You don't want rich user interface components. What do you want? You want initially a nice layout, isn't it? You want one nice header, one nice horizontal menu, a nice vertical menu, the body section where the actual HTML page is displayed, and a footer. Some dark themed or light themed footer. So whenever you want to design a web page, the page layout is very, very important. We are not just learning, HTML tags like how bold tag works, how italic tag works, how blink works, how marquee works. Ultimately, we are going to design a web page. So in the web page, layout designing is very, very important. So with plain CSS, we do page designing in 3 ways. Do you know? With HTML and CSS3, we do page layout designing in traditional development. We do page development with 3 ways. One is using frames. Second one is using tables. And third one is using container tags called div, span, and paragraph. Nowadays, most of the web page layouts are built using div, span, and paragraph. Container tags. Container tags. In CSS, we should be familiar with that. And the margin, padding, left, top, width, height, display, float, clear. Roughly around some less than 10 CSS properties exist. With that, we can place rectangle boxes wherever we want. Those rectangle boxes we'll call header, horizontal menu, vertical foot menu, body, and footer. You draw one rectangle box with some div or paragraph or span tag, and you specify in which location it want to be placed. And that is how we build layouts. And now mostly we do page layout designing with divs, div and paragraph and with CSS properties. And second, CSS we use for various other stuff also, like borders, paddings, margins, background color, foreground color, background images, attachments, and a lot of other stuff. Border radius, border corners, table stylings, heading stylings, etc., etc. With CSS, we need to put a lot of effort for the layout designing and for the beautification of the web page. But in the Twitter, there are 2 developers who developed a framework called Bootstrap. Using CSS, they developed a Bootstrap framework. So with the invention of this Bootstrap framework, to the developers almost, the web page layout designing, the page layout designing, effort got reduced to more than 80 to 90%, because being a co-developer, from my experience, I'm telling you, if you use Bootstrap, your 80 to 90% of the page layout, the designing effort will reduce. See, do you know what is framework? Framework means they frame and gives the work. Then they predefines and give you the work. You do this. You will get the
guidelines.
Guideline, finish. Framework. Every framework is like that. So in Bootstrap, there is a framework called 12 grid layout framework. 12 grid layout. 12 grid layout. In the HTML body, you take one div tag. From Bootstrap onwards, don't write any content directly in the body. Write everything inside. In the body, you write one div. Name the div class name as container. Div class name as container. And your actual HTML page body doesn't start from body tag. It starts from div with a class name is equal to container. From there you start. Because to the container, you can set the margins, paddings, and various other stuff. To the body, you cannot do that. Body itself is integral part of the browser. So you cannot adjust the position of the body, but you can adjust the position of the container, the div. That's why div class container. In div class container, for each row, you take one div class is equal to row. One row will be automatically created. And Bootstrap says, such each row you can divide into 12 grids. And for example, if you take 1024 is your screen width, 1024 divided by some 12 grids. Roughly you will get some 75, 78 or roughly 80 less than pixels for each grid. So you utilize 12 grids in one row, whether you want to place image or you want to place table or you want to place text or anything, use those 80 pixel of 12 grids in one row. That is 1024 pixel, one row. Next row again, you start open one more row, place 12 grids. Another row, 12 grids. Like that, if you do, the page sectioning and the dividing of the page can be made easy with the help of this 12 grid layout. Excellent topic. 12 grid layout you can apply with very minimum effort. Hardly within 15 minutes you can do this example, 12 grid layout example. One HTML tag, one body tag, inside body div class is equal to container, inside div class is equal to container, div class is equal to row. Inside div class is equal to row, div class is equal to column hyphen, call. And each grid they'll call as column, call hyphen, MD hyphen, 1. 1 means one grid, 2 means two grids. So if you give call hyphen, MD hyphen 2, 6 12. 6 grid column. If you place within 6 grids, your entire row will be filled. Or column medium 1, or column medium 2, or column medium 3, each div if you take. 1 column or 2 column or 3 column width, each div will be created. In that you place your content. It's very nice. Whereas with the same, if you want to do with CSS, you need to play a lot of effort. So that is the beauty of the 12 grid layout. And almost I'm having around 118 examples on Bootstrap that I've already shared in our previous sessions to some of our faculties. 118 examples on Bootstrap. What not is available, you ask me? In Bootstrap, you are having every rich user interface component. Navigation bars, menus, tables.
So in the lab session, we'll do those things.
Lab session, yeah. So almost today afternoon and tomorrow we'll completely do practical on the Bootstrap only. And the last session we'll deal with how to develop a responsive designing with Bootstrap. You know, responsive web designing. What do you mean by responsive web designing? Responsive web designing. Responsive web designing. It is not just like giving HTML request and you're getting the response. It's not an server communication response. Responsive web designing. Responsive web designing is like
Device dependent.
device dependent.
You can open in the web browser or laptop or mobile
Or
based on the
TV.
type of device that will
TV. And the three things will come here. Device, orientation, and dimension. To display a web page as a responsive page, you need three things: device, dimension, and orientation. Device, for example, mobile, next to mobile, tab, next to tab, desktop, next to desktop, TV. 4 devices. Across out of these 4 devices, out of all these 4 devices, which orientation are you going to use? In the mobile, which orientation are you going to use? In mobile, we can use both portrait and landscape orientation. Am I right? Usually portrait. If you want to watch some video or play game, you will open it in a landscape.
You can put like this. Automatically it will set.
Automatically, it will change screen rotation. Excellent. Same thing you can do with the tab also. Both portrait and the landscape. But coming to the system, we'll see only landscape or portrait, only one. The screen resolution change.
With the laptop or desktop. But when the mobile comes, you are able to rotate like this.
Rotate like
automatically that is setting.
And last one is TV. TV you can't change, you can't tilt. So according to your device, according to your orientation to the clear, portrait and landscape, according to dimension of the mobile, dimension of the tab, dimension of the laptop, dimension of the TV. According to your device, automatically the screen will be rearranged. That is what called as responsive web designing. And then once if you design a web page without making any changes with specific to any device, the same web page should be able to open on all the devices, all orientations and all dimensions. That is what called as responsive web designing. So the one which you talked about is AJAX communication, asynchronous communication with server. So is this clear?
In Web 1.0, the responsive was not there. In Web 2.0, they have introduced the responsive web page.
Responsive.
Earlier in the static pages, it was not there. In the second step, they have introduced. So he will say that one, Web 1.0, Web 2.0, and Web 3.0. How the evolution has come in web development.
That is very important.
That's introduction.
And the next one is JavaScript, most of you are familiar with, I believe. See, JavaScript content is very simple. And conditions, loops, operators, arrays, everyone knows. JavaScript contains 10 classes, 18 events. That's all. 10 classes, 18 events. JavaScript consists of. If you're familiar with these, you can use the basic level of JavaScript. Events like on load, on unload, on abort, on change, on select, on blur, on focus, on key up, on key down, on key press, mouse 5 events. That's all. 18 events altogether we get. Mouse over, mouse out, mouse enter, mouse over, mouse enter, mouse out, mouse down, mouse up, mouse click, double click. 18 events will come if you count on the fingertips. 18 events. And around some 10 classes. With that JavaScript also you can easily learn. I'll come to that introduction also. Web 1.2, 2.2 introduction. In that, I'll come to introduce about JavaScript, that basics also. And one very important in the JavaScript is knowing regular expressions. Every language developer should know regular expressions. Whether it may be JavaScript or Java or PHP or Python or C++, everywhere, every developer must be familiar with Regular expressions. Regular expression, if you want to be familiar, one page document is enough. Occurrence specifiers, some one page document is there. That one page document, if you read and practice for one day, you will get thorough with the regular expression. Because I changed the direction. I changed direction. Dark interface not button కదా లేకపోతే నేను నిల్చుంటాను ఇప్పుడు స్క్రీన్ విజిబుల్ అండి ఫేస్ ఉందా ఫేస్ విజిబుల్ ఓకే faces. So JavaScript version is also included on Wednesday. That is also there in our schedule. And then from 4th day onwards, and on Thursday onwards, we'll completely start ReactJS. ReactJS, it will go as per the schedule only. And how to install the ReactJS in our system, how to run it. And as per the curriculum only, this entire schedule will go on from Thursday onwards. ReactJS, Friday ReactJS, Saturday also ReactJS. Saturday afternoon, we actually planned integrating the ReactJS with the PHP. The next, again, Monday React, start application in React, Redux, this is for state management. Start application, again Tuesday, Redux toolkits, database handling, finally developing a web application. And within this 2 weeks program, most of the curriculum is covered on React. First few sessions are covered on Bootstrap and JavaScript. Okay. Sorry, close it. Yeah. So next screen. Yeah. So coming to the evolution of the web development. Do you know how Web 1.0 and Web 2.0 is different from each other? From your developer perspective, you need to tell a lot of technology story behind the programming. From the user perspective, do you know how Web 1.0 and 2.0 is? A simple example. Web 1.0 and Web 2.0 from the user perspective. I'll give you a small example. The best example which I can give you is Gmail login screen or our Samvida portal. So you will get a login screen. You enter username and password. Click on login. Suppose if your username and password is wrong, username or password, anything is wrong, immediately you will get an error message in red color. on the login screen above, saying that your login credentials are wrong. Maybe password may be wrong or username may be wrong. Your login credentials are wrong. It says. I'm seeing this without refreshing the page or without reloading the page, because after all, to display your login credentials are wrong, to display that small message. Reloading entire Samvida portal with the logo, again, username, password, text fields, and 2 buttons, like in the below copyright information. Because our page is having a very less graphical content. Some pages are having a lot of rich graphical content. After all, to display one small error message, bringing such a big rich graphical content from the server and displaying on the browser for displaying small error message would be very, very expensive. Mainly, it will consume the bandwidth. I'll tell you a small story about the bandwidth. Now, no one is caring the bandwidth of your internet, because everyone is having 1.5 GB to 2 GB bandwidth in our mobiles for every day. And at home also, we are taking a pack of almost 1.5 GB per month, and we are using it. 1.5 GB, yeah, that's 3000 GB, some 1000 GB, something like that. We are paying some 800 rupees. In the corona pandemic beginning, myself is having classes at home. My all 3 children are having class at home. The 1000 or 1500 GB, the package of Act Fibernet, the pack is getting exhaust by the 15th of every month, because everybody is attending online classes morning from 9:30 to 4 o'clock. Again, evening some music classes, that class, this class. Even talking to the friends is also over Zoom. 1500 GB. Not even I used to consume 200 to 300 GB per month at my home, because when we are spending at home, we are mostly in the college or they are in the schools and colleges. So 200-300 GB is also not consumed before pandemic. During pandemic, 1500 GB bandwidth is getting consumed by 10th or 15th of every month. One day afternoon, I'm sleeping because no class. I'm sleeping. So immediately one call came from the business representative of Act Fibernet. He said, "Sir, your 1500 GB bandwidth is exhausting by the end of 10th or 15th of every month. Why don't you increase the bandwidth to 2000? I said, "Chalo, how much it will cost additional?" See, he said, "Sir, 300 more." So 800 to 300 means 1100 to 1200. I said, "Okay." He increased the bandwidth to 3000. 3000, and currently the bandwidth is 3500 GB. Its cost is 1500 per month. 1500 per month. 1500 per month. 3500 GB bandwidth, madam. If you are not having classes at home, not even 200 GB will be consumed. Rest of the 3300 GB bandwidth will be almost waste. That will be available only for the online sessions. That bandwidth is available only for the online sessions. If online sessions are going on, almost 1/10 of my bandwidth given by Act Fibernet every month is almost of waste. Is of no use. I'm paying 600 rupees. And a reducing plan and increasing plan again is a headache. I said, "Okay, chalo, we're spending a lot of amount. 1500 is not a big amount. So it's okay. 3500 GB, 3300 GB I'm not spending." And why I'm telling about this, because the bandwidth consumption is very, very important in 1.0. To display same similar page with small error page, the entire page used to submit to server, and again same page used to download back onto the client with small error message. With a lot of delay, the user need to wait on the system to get that screen. Lot of bandwidth consumption. Previously, we don't used to get bandwidth consumption. Now you imagine the bandwidth consumption. And for small message, again getting the whole graphical content from the server is a bandwidth consumption and client latency. Okay, fine. If you successfully log in, your Samvida portal page will come or Google page will come, the Gmail inbox page will come. Then that time the login page should go off, the inbox page should come. And completely it's a replacement of one page with another page. But initially, if your user credentials are wrong to display that, unloading the page and loading the same page again with a small error message, is it a bandwidth consumption? Is the unnecessary page reloading or not? That is what Web 2.0 addresses us. In the Web 2.0, we do a lot of interactions with the web page. We do a lot of interactions with the web page. What interaction we do with the web page? You will click on the text. You will click on the text. You will click on the image. You will type something in the text field. Type something in the text field. You will select the checkbox and radio buttons, or you will select item from the list box or drop down list box, or you may move mouse over on the images. These are the general interactions. Events, we call them in JavaScript, we call them as events. Generally, we'll do these types of events on the web page. We see, being a user, you don't keep idle on the web browser, right? You'll move mouse here and there, you will click here, you will select something, you will type something, you'll do something. For your each and every interaction in the web page, your each and every interaction with every element, every event, if that event fires a request to server, are you getting my point? For that every event, if the request is fired to server, and if one more page is loaded back onto the browser, how much bandwidth will consume? A lot of bandwidth will consume. The best example, I have an idea app. Every month, I'll pay my idea bill payment through idea app only. Myself, my missus and institute, 3 numbers, same ID number we'll use, and 3 different numbers, but all are having idea service provider. So every month when I go to idea, that app, first they'll ask me my mobile number. I'll type my number 9841188. On the mobile app, I'm telling you, the moment I type 98481188, each and every digit they'll count. On change event they'll write on the text field. The moment I enter 10 fields, they'll immediately verify whether this ID number is correct or not. First point. And the validation on change event, for every character change in the text field, in the background, the JavaScript developer will write an event handling. For every character change, they'll take the entire text on the text field. They'll pass it into one function called parseIn, checks whether it is a number or not. If it is not number, immediately they'll display wrong error message saying that you entered wrong. Suppose if you enter any alphabet, immediately they'll say wrong mobile number. Exactly after entering 10 mobile numbers, within no time, they'll immediately display 483 rupees is your monthly bill, because mine is a postpaid. 483 rupees is a monthly bill. Your operator is Idea Vodafone, and some etc. The statements they print, and they'll ask us to click and proceed. And how they brought, the moment I entered my 10-digit mobile number, within no time they displayed my bill amount, my operator and other stuff on the screen, and what date I paid last month, all my history. I was surprised. When I click on proceed, the screen immediately switches to another screen, or it will just scroll up and immediately they'll ask from which bank you want to pay them. I'll choose HDFC Bank or SBI or something. They don't ask even amount, because same bill amount I'm paying. They'll ask about only the bank. If you click on proceed, they'll ask for the PIN. The moment you enter PIN, you will immediately get a receipt saying that your bill payment is over. Previously, we used to engage one office boy to make all this electricity, telephone, and all these bill payments. Now, myself sitting 1 hour at home, monthly once, I'm making all the bill payments. Property tax I'm paying, current bill I'm paying, all phone, land phones, telephone bills, internet bills, everything I'm paying within 1 hour. Monthly once if I sit. It's all happening because of Web 2.0. And in Web 2.2, whatever event you do, whatever data want to go to server, and what response want to brought back to browser, only that content will go on, that response will come to the browser instead of unloading the entire page and reloading the same page again and again. That is what avoided in Web 2.0. Mostly such 2.0 applications we will call as single page applications. The single page application is having a lot of meaning. But on the same page, whatever the new things comes, they will be rendered on the same web page. One small, the slide I presented here. This is a traditional page lifecycle, HTML page lifecycle. So here you see there's a HTML page. If you make any HTTP request, http://www. If you request for some HTML page to the web server used to download the HTML page to the browser. Now, in the HTML page, you enter some data. From the HTML page, you will submit 4 types of data. Technically speaking, from the HTML page, you will submit 4 types of data. The 4 types of data are post data, put data, delete data, and get data. Then, if your data is something new, you want to post to the server, the data is called as post data. We'll send it through a HTTP post. Technically, a lot of things involved in that HTTP post 6 months. Second, if you want to submit something like my mobile number, I want to get my bill details. When is the last payment? When last month I paid? How much is the current bill amount? If these details, if I want to get, only if I submit my mobile number, I should get my bill details. Which HTTP method do I use? Get. If I am submitting a HTML form, the data wants to make some changes on the server system, like update, then we'll use HTTP method put. If you want to submit something to the server, the data want to be deleted from the server. The data want to be deleted from the server. We'll use delete method. Then we'll use HTTP delete method. See this HTML page came. You enter something in the HTML form. Using HTTP post, the request has been submitted to server. You got another HTML page back to browser. And initially you got one page. You submit that page. As a response, you got another page. This is internet bandwidth consumption. Client needs to wait a lot of time on the system to get the new pages again and again, and waste of getting the same page again and again. That is the meaning of it. In the Web 2.0, they change it that little bit. So whichever portion you click, whichever portion you want to update, only that data will go to server, only response will come, only that portion of the web page will be updated. Instead of reloading the entire page. That reduces your bandwidth consumption, your client latency. No page unnecessary reloads again and again. This is what Web 2.0 suggests. They make changes only on the same page again and again, instead of reloading one page. So see the next slide. This is a single page application lifecycle. SPA, we'll call it SPA. SPA. In this, initially you make request to server. You will get what? HTML page. Now please check what is happening here. Something like you entered your mobile number, for example, that mobile number example. Mobile number we entered here. Previously, you submitted HTML form using post or get. Previous HTML form submission. Now there is a special technique used in Web 2.0 called AJAX. AJAX. The full form of AJAX is asynchronous JavaScript and XML. All these JavaScript-based frameworks came because of after the development of AJAX. Because AJAX avoids the traditional form submission. Only required content will go, required response will come back from the server to client, and will be that will be updated in the browser. So by seeing that so many number of frameworks are developed after the evolution of AJAX. It all started in the year 2005. In 2005, there is one developer from Google called Jesse James Garrett. His name is Jesse James Garrett. He actually developed this AJAX concept. In this AJAX concept, what they'll do is, this is what that AJAX concept is. So you make AJAX request to server. AJAX request is nothing but your HTTP request. But not if you submit HTML submit button, the form submits to server, isn't it? Not that submission. It's a HTTP request submission, not made by the browser. It is made by one special class called XML HTTP request class. What is the class name called? XML HTTP request class. The class name is XML HTTP request. The class is developed by that person, the developer. This is James Garrett. With this, your traditional form submission will stop, but your form will be submitted. How? Asynchronously. In the background of the browser, your request will be submitted to server. Even as a user, you don't know your form, your page, your HTML form, data is going to the server that you don't know. Because you don't find your page is unloading and reloading another page. Without your knowledge, only the data will go from your form to server. Page will remain like that. Request will go, response will come back, and that response will be rendered back onto the browser. And that response will be rendered back onto the browser. So how to do this? It is very simple in JavaScript. It's very simple in JavaScript. In JavaScript, there is a class given name called XML HTTP request. What is the class name called? XML HTTP request. XML HTTP request. It is having some methods C, open, send. Name some methods are there. In the open method, what is the argument? HTTP method, post or get. Second argument is URL. Third argument is whether you want asynchronous communication with server or not. The moment you call, remember, previously we used to form, method is equal to post, action is equal to some server URL, form data, then input type is equal to submit. When you click on the submit, all is used to transmit to server. Now don't do it. Completely you remove input type is equal to submit button from your HTML form. Don't write submit button. Don't write form method is equal to post, action is equal to something. Remove it. Take something in the text field. On change event or one on button click event. On click of the event, you call that function. Create one XML HTTP request object. Give the server URL, get method or post method you give, and just call send. If you call send, from here what is going here? Mobile number is equal to, your mobile number will go to server. Only your mobile number will go to server, not your entire page is getting dispersed. Only your mobile number will go to server. From the server, what you will get as a response? Your bill amount, due date, and your service provider. Idea Vodafone. Your due date is some on 12th you need to pay, 12th July 2022, and some bill amount is 483 rupees. These three you should get from the server. And your request goes from browser, but not browser submission. It's XML HTTP request object submission to the server. Only your data will go. So outside what technologies do you use? Same again Java, Servlet JSP, ASP, PHP. Majorly Java, .NET, PHP. Now recently few companies are using Python also. Python not for the much for the web, mostly for the some data science and other related stuff. So mostly server-side technologies means you can imagine Java or .NET or PHP. That will take your request, sends your mobile number to database, Oracle or MySQL, something you connect, get the data. In what way the response should come back to the browser? Previously, if you submit your mobile number, Servlet used to take your mobile number, regenerate whole page with your mobile number, amount, last date, service provider, by filling that HTML page, and then with few fields, The entire HTML page it used to submit back to the browser previously. Now only from the server what you will get is these three values: bill amount, due date, and service provider. You will get in three formats. One is CSV, comma separated value. Second one is XML. Third one is JSON. Most recent one is JSON. Most recent one is JSON. JSON format alone cheppandi. In the JSON, flower basis, field name, colon, value, comma, field name, colon, value, comma, field name, colon, value. So what is the difference between CSV and comma separated value? You tell me. I don't find any difference. Comma separated value, JSON there is no difference. In JSON, every object is enclosed in flower braces. In CSV, there is no flower braces. But in both the things, in comma separated value, you will have field name is equal to value, comma, field name is equal to value. In JSON, field name colon, comma, field name colon, comma, field name colon, comma. Each object you will enclose in one bracket. If you are having multiple objects, you will enclose in square bracket, array. From server, if you get JSON or XML or CSV, back to your JavaScript, that code, here you read the data and why this Angular JS, Angular, React, Vue, these many frameworks came, for this reason. You got the data from server to browser. You tell me how to update and how to display that output back on your browser. How to display whatever data you got from the server, how do you display the data onto browser? So in the browser, anything you want to display, you should display it in a HTML form. In HTML form, you tell me how many types of objects exist in HTML regularly used, and overall I'll tell you. Regularly used objects in HTML. Element, also we call as tags. Word, B is a tag, B is a tag, span is a tag, div is a tag, table, row, table heading, table data, all are tags, right? Tags. Inside tag will write attribute is equal to value, BG color is equal to red, something like that. The tags, inside tags attributes. And next text. The whatever plain text you place in between two start tag and end tags is a text. And sometimes subtags. Paragraph under paragraph and div under div and span and span on table, something like that. The tags, elements, attributes, text. Mainly, you will display these on the web browser, right? So the response comes from server. That response coming from the server you should take, and dynamically in the browser you should be able to generate new HTML tags, new HTML attribute and values, new text. You should be able to dynamically generate on the browser and update that content in the same browser. And how do you generate HTML dynamically on the browser? For that, there is a special API is available in JavaScript called HTML DOM. HTML DOM. To make that HTML DOM simplification, this Angular JS, Angular, React, Vue, these many headache number of frameworks came because of that HTML DOM. Main agenda. Internet story just to teach the importance of why React. We left React. We had almost 1 hour story. This entire story concludes finally how to use DOM HTML and how to dynamically generate HTML using HTML DOM API. Previously that we used to do in JavaScript using window.document. Window.document familiar statement in Japan. Window.document.get element by ID to get one ID tag. Window.get elements by tag name, elements by tag name. Same tag name, multiple elements exist. Get elements by class name, like a create element, replace child, remove child, insert before, append child. This is called as HTML DOM API. With this HTML DOM API, we used to generate new HTML content and we'll update it on the browser. And if JavaScript for server side asynchronous communication, an XML HTTP request object like this should exist. With this, the form data will go to asynchronously to server. You will get the response. To read the response, you need CSV parser, JSON parser, or XML parser. These are all available in JavaScript. Not only in JavaScript, boss. Even in these regular frameworks also, you should learn all this. XML parser, JSON parser, CSV parser. With that, you will be able to read data coming from the server. Again, to update that content back to the browser, you need to generate a new HTML. You need a HTML DOM. How to create new element and a new tag. How to create new text. How to add text to element. How to add that element to somewhere in your HTML document. This is the entire story. In this story, developing such a dynamic, this is called as dynamic HTML also. Generating such a dynamically HTML on browser is also called as DHTML. But in DHTML, there is one small problem. And if frameworks DHTML is having a small problem. DHTML is having one small problem. The problem is with the DHTML is somewhere in the HTML page, if you want to modify some text, small text. Nothing. Suppose if you want to make some small change in the HTML document in the traditional JavaScript, you need to start from the beginning of the HTML document. HTML document, somewhere you need one small change. A small portion want to be updated. Something want to be replaced or something want to be newly appended. You start from the beginning of the HTML document. Window.document and document.get element by it is like window.document. Document element named one method is there. Document element named one property or method. That will give root element. From the root element, you should get all the child elements. From the child elements, you get the child element, the child element, child element. You navigate up to the place where your actual content exists. You go up there, replace that content or modify that content. For small change in the HTML document, reading the document from the body to depth where your node exists. This is called as DOM tree. You navigate through entire DOM tree to make small change. How much programming you need to write in the HTML DOM? You don't read HTML, you don't read CSS. You will write only HTML DOM API that much to go to that level depth. Reading parent element, its child elements, its child elements, its child elements. So you will be maximum exhausted with writing this DOM logic to make one small change in the HTML document. This is a development consuming. For to replace this Angular and React, these frameworks came. These, especially React became very, very popular nowadays. Previously Angular was dominating. Now recently the React has dominated the entire market. React has one good thing, that it has one concept called a virtual DOM. The moment if you use React in any HTML document, it will read the entire HTML document. It will read the entire HTML document. What is parent element, sub element, it reads entire HTML document. It will make one copy of virtual DOM in the memory. It will keep one copy of virtual DOM in the memory. And for each fragment, they will put some ID, something. In the React, wherever you do modifications, and to whichever tag you want to make changes, they'll first make changes in the virtual DOM. The virtual DOM is nothing but one more copy of the entire DOM they'll make into one more. In the RAM only, in one more memory portion, they'll store that entire tree, they'll store it into one more virtual DOM. It is a separate DOM, a copy of DOM. They'll make changes, whatever changes we do. And once changes is completed, for this a beautiful React lifecycle is given. That I don't cover now, I'll cover later on, a very big lifecycle. And whichever portion you modified in the original DOM, This virtual DOM will go and modify only that portion instead of reading from the beginning of the line. That reduces the program execution time. That increases your performance of the application to a very huge extent. ReactJS became popular because of that virtual DOM. It makes changes only wherever is necessary, instead of again, coming from the top of the external document to the portion where the changes are made. And second one is, Angular, this React, all these frameworks became popular because of one more small reason. The reason is until 2014-15, the JavaScript was only a processor language. The JavaScript was only a processor language. Then you can write only functions. Inside functions, you can use JavaScript predefined classes. JavaScript on predefined classes. Window, string, date, math, number, array, boolean, regular expression, and 8 predefined classes. With these 8 predefined classes, you create these class objects in JavaScript functions. You do validations and do some stuff, logic stuff you do with these 8 classes. But you can't write your own classes. You can't do inheritance. You lose all object orientation concepts in JavaScript. You don't have encapsulation. You don't have inheritance. You don't have abstraction. You don't have polymorphism. Abstraction is missing.
That is object-based.
Object-based JavaScript is.
There is a difference, object-based and object-oriented.
Object-oriented.
Java is object-oriented. JavaScript is object-based.
You can't write your own classes in JavaScript.
You can use only. In object-based, whatever the objects are exist, you can use. Where in the case of object-oriented, you can create your own object.
You can create your own classes.
Abstraction, inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism. That freedom was not there in there.
And I see in the programming, because of the lack of object-oriented programming, this client-side development became a huge task. Because of lack of object-oriented programming, the JavaScript is very limited. That is what, as I said, object-based language JavaScript is. Because of that lack of object-oriented programming strength, we used to write no reusability. For small thing also, we need to write a lot of coding. There is no proper modularity of coding, and there is no proper division of coding. So many limitations are found with the JavaScript programming. That is why in the year somewhere in 2014-13 somewhere, I taught AngularJS first time. AngularJS written on JavaScript. Even till date, I really like AngularJS very much. For small scale applications, if I want to develop, I really prefer AngularJS. Small JavaScript file you need to include in the header, and directly you write AngularJS programming. AngularJS programming is damn good. For small scale applications, if you don't want reusability, this AngularJS is wonderful framework. But because of AngularJS is developed in JavaScript, and we want scripting language on client, but which is not an object-oriented programming. All object-oriented programming, the features are missing in the programming. See, why Java became popular? Because of not only platform independence or security or something, because of strong object-oriented programming features, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism. Message passing is common, mainly abstraction. Nearly 18,000 plus classes are developed in Java. Most of them are interfaces and classes. Such a huge API is developed because of abstraction. Java connects to every software, every device, every product. Java software connects. Object-oriented programming is really powerful. I mean, those who experience, to them, they know object-oriented programming is really a powerful choice. But to write client-side scripting, there is no object-oriented programming available. With the JavaScript, you can't expand the programming much. For small-scale application, AngularJS is good. But if application size increases, as I said, no reusability, modularity is less. Because of due to these reasons, Then the industry thought we developed one more technology called Angular. The Google vendor himself, initially he developed AngularJS, but he developed with JavaScript and he found AngularJS is not that powerful for the programming because it's not object-oriented, right? So then what they thought is, okay, we name the brand name Angular, but we'll develop one more framework called Angular. Previous one is AngularJS, so it's Angular. In Angular, again in the Angular, if they use JavaScript, same limitations. There's no object-oriented programming. Hence, one C# programmer, I don't remember his name, the C# programmer, he developed one programming language called TypeScript. It is an object-oriented programming language, exactly same as Java. TypeScript. Same, its syntaxes are mostly like Java. He developed TypeScript language for some Microsoft development. Google hired that TypeScript. On the TypeScript, he developed this Angular software. Angular became popular, but with Angular, there is one problem. That Angular applications you need to type in a file extension called .ts. TS and TypeScript. And you write complete program in TypeScript, but which browser will understand TypeScript? Which extensions browser will understand? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, images to audio video. Is any browser, do you know, that understands TypeScript extension? No. And if you develop application in Angular, again you need compiler to compile TypeScript into JavaScript. Angular lone development uses language TypeScript. Angular is framework and that TypeScript language he used. Again to convert TypeScript to JavaScript, you need TypeScript compiler. And then a transpiler under. Transpiler. And a transcript. Translator.
It will translate from TypeScript to again JavaScript. Because our browser will understand JavaScript.
No. Again JavaScript interpretation. And a compilation interpretation or transpiler they call it. And because of Angular is having its own advantages. And some limitations are there. And again, the ReactJS came. ReactJS is purely developed in Facebook. Facebook developed React. See, in the React, last, just before coming to IARE, around some 1 year back, I started React. And after coming here, I took 2-3 class sessions, faculty development sessions, etc. And now also we are doing. In the entire ReactJS, you need not have to learn anything other than basic how to use object-oriented concepts in React. That if you understand, if you understand how to use React is internally uses. I could put a point. How but React came because Angular he got maturity a little bit early before 2014, 15, 16 somewhere. He used a TypeScript as a language for developing Angular. In 2015, ECMAScript 6 came and a higher version of JavaScript. An object-oriented version of JavaScript came in 2015. That ReactJS took as an advantage. EA6 under. In 2015, JavaScript introduced with some new features. First feature is oops, finish. First feature is oops. The moment oops feature is introduced in the JavaScript, immediately React took that. And on that object-oriented programming basis, he developed so many number of libraries in React. Now React is completely using object-oriented JavaScript. You directly write JavaScript, no tool is required again to convert from TypeScript to JavaScript. JavaScript itself is this. So it directly runs on the browser. Only how to use object-oriented JavaScript and TypeScript if you understand some concepts like state, property, events, methods, routers, state management with Redux and Flux, and HTTP service. React you can learn with very, very less effort. And if you understand the basic concepts. So for the basic concepts, we want to spend a lot of time. A familiarity రావడానికి. And for that, one thing is to practice React, you need internet.
Without internet, you cannot do.
Without internet, you cannot do. And once if you create a project, at least 250 to 300 MB modules are downloaded from internet into your project. And then your project execution starts. So initially you need internet. Once if internet is there and project once downloaded, from there onwards the execution will go very fast. So hope you understood Web 1.0 and 2.0 difference. That whole page submission is avoided. Required portion should go, required portion should come. These frameworks, majorly they are meant for how to update HTML back on the browser is their main effort. This Angular, React, they server-side communication, one small function or class call if they make, server-side communication will take it. Once after getting the content back, how to update onto the browser is a major challenge. With a lot of object-oriented programming languages like TypeScript and object-oriented JavaScript, they manage. That's how we are learning Angular and React. And one framework you learned was, I'm sure the remaining frameworks will take hardly 1 week to 10 days time to understand the remaining frameworks. And I found Angular React development, I found same. One main file is there. In that file, we'll add other files. Those files we'll call as components. There also we'll use components. Here also we'll use component. Nothing but class.
Functional component, class.
Functional class. Component and class. Finish. Properties and variables. Functions. When you click on something, whatever you call events. Terminology is very damn easy, man. If you understand writing React programming, then the terminology, madam. We may not very big build applications. We build small applications only, but we'll make React content very clear in this session. In this 2-week programming session. Every day we are having practical. Yeah, yes. React, you have to install.
Details better. Word.
Yeah?
Details word better.
Details kada?
Word the terminal.
Text file ఉన్నాయి.
Yeah. Details. These are things we'll discuss. Next in the coming days we'll discuss about all these things.
We discuss చేస్తాం. మేడం లేఅవుట్ లో డిస్కస్ చేస్తాం. జావాస్క్రిప్ట్ మీరు 15 మంది డిస్కస్ చేస్తారు. బ్రేక్ ఇద్దాం.
Just ఒకసారి go through it. These are the things we'll go through in the entire session.
బ్రేక్ ఇచ్చేసి చెప్పేసి ఆపేద్దాం. బ్రేక్ ఇచ్చి చెప్పేసి ఆపేద్దాం. అక్కడ shall we take some 10 minutes break?
Yes, sir.
No, we don't go anywhere outside. We'll just take 10 minutes break here, and after that we continue the session. It's okay. And then, instead of having continuous session, I thought of having a small break.
Stop. Audio stop.
Yeah. In the morning, well, in the morning we have discussed the complete schedule. And what we should be familiar with is also clear. Latest version of HTML, HTML5, 0.2, 4.0.2, and HTML5. Most of the elements are HTML5 elements only. Few latest tags and attributes are included in HTML5. Other than that, HTML4 only, HTML 4.0.2. And next, madam, what about CSS?
Up to 3 types.
No, CSS 1, 2, and 3. Next, JavaScript version. JavaScript version ES6. And what are the versions are we using? HTML 4 and 5, CSS 3, JavaScript ES6, ES6. That ES6 we should be familiar with. That is object-oriented programming in JavaScript. All class writing, inheritance, everything comes under that. And also I would like to ask you few questions about, are you aware of constructor parameters? Constructors you are aware of, right? In the object-oriented programming, constructors you are aware of. In the ReactJS also, we'll use constructor parameters very much. We'll pass properties as arguments to constructors. Writing functions and calling functions is okay. That is what called as event handling. Writing function. When to call function? When somebody clicks on saying something, event handling. So if you are having little bit knowledge on object-oriented programming, you can cope up with ReactJS. Basic Java is fine. Basic Java is very much sufficient. And two more concepts that you are not aware of, that you are going to specially learn in ReactJS is, if you have ever involved in the web development in Java, using servlets and JSP, have you developed web application development in Java using servlets and JSP? No. And why I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. Have you involved in servlets? Servlets, you know? Yes, sir? Basics, okay. Yes, sir? Basics, sir? You? Okay. Because in servlets, we'll deal with one topic called session management and client state persistence. Session management and client state persistence. And developers who are involved in client server applications in web development, they will sure come across this session management and client state persistence. And in simple, for example, Suppose if you go to Gmail, you want to open a new account. They'll in the first screen, they'll ask you to enter your personal details. Let us say, or are you applying? You're applying for a job? Let us say. They're asking 3 screens. First screen, they'll ask your personal details, your name, date of birth, and married or spouse name, or that name, this name. In the second screen, they'll ask your educational qualifications. From 10th to enter degree, PG, PhD, where you studied, which university, which year, how much percentage you scored, educational qualifications stuff. Second page. In the first page, you will submit. You will get a Naukri. If you go to Naukri, and if you want to register as a employer means company, employee means you are looking for employment. So first your personal details will be taken. If you click on next one more screen will come, you submit your education details. One more screen will come. There you enter your experience details. Experience and professional details, and what technologies you know, in which companies you worked on, to which client, to which projects you did, which technologies you use, which year, how many oral years of experience. That's all. So finally, once you submit the third screen to the same server, to the Naukri new employee registration process, to that application, first screen you submitted your personal details, second your academic details, third your professional details you submit. Once you submit your third screen, until you submit your third screen details, whatever details you have already submitted on first screen and second screen, the server should record or not? The server should remember. See, first screen you submitted your personal details. You got another page. Server forgot to remember your first screen details. So it will display second screen details, academic details. Academic details you filled and submitted, again that went there. One more screen came, it forgot to store that information there. Finally, professional details screen came. The moment you submit that screen, only professional details will be there on server. Your personal details gone, your academic details gone. Only your professional details will store. What about your personal and academic details? Because you submitted your data to server across 3 forms, not a single form. 3 forms. 3 times you submitted. And then you go to Amazon, you purchase one item, the item will be added into cart. If you click on one more product, the product will be added to one more item as a cart, one more item in the cart, but not previous item will be already, right? That entire process is called as client session management and client state persistence. Client state persistence and the client data storing. Storing client data is called as client state persistence. That one more concept additionally we have to learn in React. The fluxu reduxu under React fluxu, React reduction. That concept is given in almost 1 or 2 chapters in our course. This one syllabus. Next one, routing. Routing and same. One more point I would like to mention when I'm giving introduction. Previously, the client server technology was thin client, thick server technology. I'm talking about when it was 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, up to 2008-9. Java ruled out the client server application market with the JSF, struts, EJB, with Spring. Even now till date, Java is morely dominated with the Spring and Spring Boot with microservices technology. Spring latest. At the time, the client was thin and server was thick. Your client job is only to take input from the user, submit to server, rest everything will be managed on server, a thick server model. Now server became thin, client became thick. The screen. What to display when user clicks on somewhere, button or link or text or something. Validations, which screen should come first, which screen should come next, which screen should come next. Everything will be managed on the client side itself. And as I told you earlier, server now job is only to take Ajax call. Whatever you sent, like your mobile number, that corresponding details it will send to browser. That's all. Server now became a thin server. Client is a thick client. Thick client, once data comes, that details will be displayed on the same screen. Which screen? Same screen where you entered your mobile number. There only your bill amount, bill due date to service provider. If you click on proceed to next, what will be displayed? Your all mobile numbers registered in your Paytm are displayed or not? Your HDFC, your Bank of India, your SBI, your Andhra Bank, whatever cards you registered, they all will be displayed. This is one more screen or same screen. The screen should be there, but from this screen, control should navigate to that screen. There you select your having some HDFC card or SBI card, something. Amount you didn't have to enter because same amount they'll charge from your card. Again, they'll ask proceed. Once you click on proceed, again, what happens? Your 4-digit or 6-digit PIN number screen will appear. This complete portion is one operation. Entering mobile number, your details will come. If you click on proceed, all your card details are displayed. If you click select one particular card, radio button you are selecting. One particular card if you select, click on proceed. Again, 4-digit or 6-digit PIN number will display. There you enter, click on proceed. They'll go and verify somewhere. If it is successful, immediately you will get a receipt. And how many screens have you been navigated through across? 4, 5, yes. And if it is failed, one screen. If it is successful, one screen. Before that, PIN is one screen. Before that, the selecting card is one screen. Before that, entering your mobile number and getting the details one screen. You need to navigate across 4 screens on the same page without losing the previous screen content. So how do you navigate from one screen to another screen? This is called as a routing, a routing. And then generally we'll write ROUTER, routing. In React, you learn object-oriented programming. State to properties to functions to events, that stuff you learn. Redux to Flux, and this routing concepts, HTTP service, and how to make Ajax call to server and get the response back. If you learn these 5-6 things, sir, you will become #1 in ReactJS programming. The building big applications is a different task. For that, you need to become mastering in Bootstrap, lot of graphical images. You need to do all this. Basic applications, we are sure we can bring you to that extent with these ReactJS basics. I'm sure. ReactJS may make a idea. What is
the basic knowledge you require for this?
Object.
Expertise in Java.
Not expertise. Basic object-oriented programming concepts. That's enough. That's enough, sir. Java and Java is having a lot of API. Who want that? We don't want API. We want how to write that programming, how to write class, how to write constructor, how to write method, parameters, return type, how to call that, how to create object. Basics that's it. Basics of Java. And basic conditions and loops we know. Conditional rendering under. If this condition is satisfied, display this. If condition is satisfied, if loop, switch to loops or loops, while loops. Basic programming. The two, you are one thing fortunate that React is developed on JavaScript. If it is Angular, you must have learned TypeScript, one more object-oriented programming before learning Angular. That is it. And additional. So here you need not have to do that.
So for this semester they are having Java.
Mm-hmm.
They are having theory, not practical only.
Okay.
No theory is there.
Okay.
So that's why is it good or not? That's what I'm thinking.
And in the React,
To know about Java, they should know Java concepts or not.
because see, in the recent interviews, in many companies, we observed that they are giving students, asking them to write program only. What they are asking, they'll give class, they'll give private variables. They'll give one class, like employee class, they'll give 4 or 5 employee variables, they'll give private int employee ID, private string employee name, like that, private double salary, private string designation, like that. One class they will give with 4 or 5 variables, and they'll ask student to write constructors and segregator methods for the class. That's it. It's one day job. One no parameter constructor. As many variables exist in the class, those many parameters, one constructor, and this data initially one pair of segregator method for each variable. Students are not able to write this much in the interview. That basic skill, and this is called as simple Java language. What you call the coding convention, if they follow Java in naming coding convention, if they follow, they can write this. So that they are not writing. So that level of basics and basics of object-oriented programming. Oops. Interfaces, classes, abstract class, final class. Mari inner outer class, inner classes, anonymous class, depth of all basics of writing classes. That's sufficient. And one more thing. In CSS, I would like to ask you, do you know how to select HTML tags in CSS? Let me ask you one more question before that. In how many ways you can write CSS in HTML? 3 ways. Next line. Inline, internal, and external. And within the tag itself, if you write style is equal to and write CSS property, that is inline. And HTML you write in the body, in the head tag you write style tag. There if you write this HTML styling, that is internal. External if you write external styling. Apart from inline styling, if you want internal styling, the HTML tags used in the body must be referred in the style. HTML body loan tag ni style refer cheyali. Head to HTML head to style. In that we need to refer these HTML tags. In how many ways do you refer HTML tags in the style tag? In how many ways do you refer HTML tags in style tag? The internal styling. In how many ways do you refer the HTML tags in style? One. What is that one way? Tag selector. Do you know? So for example, P and paragraph. If you want to write styling for that paragraph tag, in the style unit write P flower basis open close. ID of the class of the. This paragraph tag P and Rasi flower basis open and close. And then wherever paragraph is used in the HTML document, all the paragraphs are referred there. There you write styling. So in my HTML documents, there are so many paragraph tags exist, but I don't want one styling to all of the paragraph tags. One paragraph which will display something, note or disclaimer, some note or terms and conditions, something like that. One paragraph want to display. The two, it want to display something in a blue color. Normally the black color, blue color, terms and conditions like that. So paragraph key. So if you want to refer one particular tag uniquely, unique HTML tag, if you want to refer in CSS, you need to use ID. ID. Paragraph tag rasi. ID is equal to, you write TC. TC and terms and conditions. T and G and is also having some special meaning in it. TC. In the style tag, you go and write hash TC, flower basis open and close. Wherever the tag is written with ID, TC, that will be referred over there. So styling you write under the TC, the content you write in that paragraph tag, terms and conditions. Then blue color, background, foreground, borders, that this you write it in the ID. Got it. There are different tags. Some paragraph, some div, some span, different tags. One similar styling. Different tags in HTML document want similar styling. What do? Then to all of them, you apply one class. For example, in our college, CSE students, maximum how we demarcate or separate students here is branch wise. CSE, IT, ECE, EEE, Mechanical, Aero, Civil, DSU, ANML, Cyber Security, like that. This is the maximum separation we'll do based on the branch. They're of different genders, they're different people, but we want to bring them into one branch. They're different people. There are different caste, religion, place, gender, male, female, different people. We bring them into first year ECE students, second year ECE students, third year ECE students. They're all different. You are bringing into one single group. There we use class. And then 2-3 tags if you want to refer something with common name. To all of them, you need to write paragraph, div, span, class is equal to class 1, class 2, class 1, class 1, class 1, like that. In the style tag, how do you refer this class 1? With the help of dot. How to refer classes? With dot. Dot class 1. And Rasi flower base open just close just there. Wherever class is used name called class 1, that will be referred there. And then in the style tag, HTML tags are referred in 3 ways. ID selector, a tag selector, ID selector, and class selector. Me bootstrap రావడానికి ఇది కావాలంతే. Tag selector, ID selector, class selector. CSS, I told you, 369 CSS properties are there, I said. If you are interested, you can practice them. Otherwise, those who are learning Bootstrap, to them what you should know is, they have written predefined CSS. Generally, we'll write CSS for the HTML tags. They wrote predefined CSS. They wrote predefined CSS with the predefined class names. Predefined class name. Carousel. Blue button, red button, green button, orange button, yellow button, warning button, danger button, info button, error button. They have written predefined classes. Classes they have written predefined with a lot of background color, foreground color, font, etc. etc. Bootstrap in HTML, how many classes they have written? If you apply those classes, how that look and feel is applied on our tags. But that is not one day practice. That you have to continuously practice for more than 1 month plus time to see majority of the tags. Hardly to see 3-4 tags or hardly 2-3 sessions are sufficient for the Bootstrap. But how to apply their predefined CSS, Bootstrap predefined CSS on our HTML tags is very important in Bootstrap. Are you getting my point? For that CSS knowledge is required, I said. And they'll give you one .cs file, one JS file, one JavaScript file, and one CSS file they'll give. You please include them in your directory. Include those paths in HTML document. And always please go through those CSS and JavaScript files and see what are the classes available. If you apply them, how the look and feel will come on our tags. That you continuously observe and keep applying. Right. You can take help from the internet also, from books also. But more than a book and more than this, see, when version changes, slightly the internal code also changes. Whatever CSS and JavaScript you are using in your HTML document, if you directly see from there and if you apply it, that will be more useful. So, for the Bootstrap, that selectors knowledge is required, I said. That is one thing. Layout management, anyway, you learn in the practice. JavaScript. jQuery is not there. One more thing. Yeah. So, after madam will start Bootstrap. For Bootstrap, you don't require anything. Only 2 files, one CSS and JavaScript file you require. Anyway, afternoon we'll sit all of them together and we'll practice it here. Bootstrap. When you come to React, you need one special software installation called Node. That entire process will start during ReactJS topic. Okay. Afternoon we'll start. We'll end up session now. We'll start session at 2 o'clock. We'll continue Bootstrap from. లేఅవుట్ మేనేజ్మెంట్ ఇందాక చెప్పిన ఫ్రేమ్స్ టేబుల్స్ అంటే ఇది బాక్స్ లేఅవుట్ అన్నాం కదా లాస్ట్ లో.
ఇది మెయిన్. ఇది layout manager is the main one to design the pages. So there you have to decide. Now latest one is the last bit. In the earlier days they used to use
Frames, tables.
Now the DB is the main container, so it will design the layouts. That part you have to concentrate.
Right. We'll end up session now. We'll meet at 2 o'clock again.
And the Bootstrap the selectors where you have to use ID, where you have to use class, where you have to use tag and attribute and pseudo selectors.
Pseudo selectors.
That means the combining both also. That part you have to highlight. So the application madam class there you have to consider that so that you can design any website. Sometimes you write hashtag. Then what I use idea class. Then you have to know where I use dot. Class dot. So that one is consider.
Madam, ఇప్పుడు మీరు సెషన్ తీసుకోవాలని కరెక్ట్ మ్యాటర్ కదా మీ PPT ఫార్వర్డ్ చేస్తున్నా మీ అక్కడ పోయి చెప్తాను. ఈ PPT ఒకటి పంపించుకోండి.
ఎగ్జాంపుల్స్ చెప్పాలంటే చూపిస్తారండి మీరు డ్రైవ్ ఆఫ్ చేయండి.